Good evening, friends, and welcome to my premiere Google Hangouts screencast about comic arts illustrators, my favorites. Here's a timeline I've created on Google Sheets. Hal Foster was a Canadian who was working in advertising up in Winnipeg and biked over 100 miles with his friend to move to Chicago to attend the Art Institute of Chicago. And look at what an amazing artist he was. He was influenced by that Light & Decker, the Arrow collar ads guy, kind of that Art Deco style of the 20s and 30s. And you can see that influence in Hal Foster's work. This guy was just a consummate artist. Prince Valiant fame, of course. He also had a great appreciation for nature and the outdoors. He understood those kind of themes that he translated to Prince Valiant because he worked in the woods a lot when he lived in Canada. Look at his rendering of beautiful women. Man, Hal Foster, a real legend. And a lot of the influences there with Tarzan and Buck Rogers really starting the whole thing off with Dick Halkins, influenced by science fiction writers, Jules Verne, H.G. Wells. Of course, the Tarzan strip with Hal Foster is written by Edgar Rice Burroughs. So pretty cool stuff. Dick Tracy, 1931, you guys know that. Noel Sickles in 1933 through 36 picked up Scorchy Smith, the detective kind of genres made popular by Dashiell Hammett, for example, the Maltese Falcon. And John Terry was the original artist for Scorchy Smith, but Noel Sickles is really what we think about, what most people think about when they think of Scorchy. And his artistic rendering here, this is what I'm talking about, is just really creates a mood. It's absolutely wonderful. Sickles left the strip. I'm gonna be putting up some more of his artwork just because I love looking at Noel Sickles' artwork. Amazing. While I narrate. But Sickles left the strip in 36. He was trying to get more money out of AP news features, who Sickles realized were severely undercutting the artists. What else is new, right? Artistic exploitation. So Noel moved on to advertising work and illustration work for magazines. And that's some of the images I'm showing here. But again, this is a Scorchy Smith plate right here. Look at his use of shading. Sickles was really great at creating that mood with shading in his work. And here's an example of like a detective scene. I just love this stuff. Check out the charcoal smudges there in the background. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Stop right where you are. Put your hands up. Look at her. I mean, she means all business. Look at his background with the birch trees and stuff. I love that, the dark background. But look at her, just simple little lines in her face and stuff, body language, the gun. But you can read so much into that. I'm telling you, man, that's like my favorite stuff right there. Alex Raymond. Oh, before we get to Alex Raymond, Burt Chrisman was a World War II air pilot, fighter pilot, who died in combat in Japan. He was shot down twice. The second time he was killed in the parachuting on the way down in 1942. Tragic ending, but heroic ending to a young life. After Noel Sickles left Scorchy Smith, Bert Chrisman, who had an engineering degree from Colorado, was also an artist. He took over for Scorchy for 2 years. And this is some of his work. Well, first of all, here's our hero, Alan Burt Chrisman. And here's his work in Scorchy Smith. He did a lot of aviation scenes. That was his goal, was to come back from the war and resume his comic work. He also did the Sandman series for Adventure Comics as well. He really accomplished a lot in a short time. Look at his artwork, how fluid that is. Find a lot of these amazing artists keep their work really loose. It's not tight. It's loose. It flows. And his Scorchy was really cool. There's Sandman as well. But check it out. Yeah, Knoll Sickles, or sorry, Burt Chrisman's work in Scorchy Smith. Look at the clouds. Really, really nice. Very interesting story, Burt Chrisman. So that brings us to Alex Raymond. Alex Raymond went to Grand Central School in New York City. He was a World War II Marine veteran. He Flash Gordon, 1934, huge, as well as Secret Agent X9, the Dashiell Hammett story, Jungle Jim, Rip Kirby. You know, Alex Raymond just accomplished so much. He died tragically in a car accident, I believe in '56, but here's his images from Rip Kirby. Moving towards a little bit of that photorealistic style. When you see a long line of artists who do this style, Neil Adams, Al Williamson, for example, come to mind. I mean, Alex Raymond's just so influential, but you know, look at the way he could draw too. He could draw in that classical kind of style of Hal Foster, kind of showing almost, I call it like an Art Deco kind of feeling, but you know, Alex Raymond just really, really fine drawing, has a fine quality to his work. And of course, the great Flash Gordon. So influential, you know, in the Star Wars series as well. Many references in Star Wars to Alex Raymond's Flash Gordon. Jungle Jim. This stuff is all great. Alex Raymond's another one that you could just look at all night long. He's such a legend. And there he is at his studio at work. So that's Alex Raymond. A friend of Alex Raymond's was Stan Drake. And Stan Drake, he did a couple series as well. And here's an example of his work. Wonderful women. You can see the influence of his friend Alex Raymond. And Stan Drake was very respected amongst his peers. And it is kind of turning into a little bit of that photorealistic style. You know, as artists develop their craft here in the 40s and such, look at Stan Drake, man. Talk about noir. Talk about the noir genre, man. That is just it right there. Cool. Yeah, artists started working from Polaroids and photographs more as time went on. But Stan Drake, a real talent. And he was in the car with Alex Raymond, actually, when Alex Raymond died. And Stan Drake was very seriously injured, but made a recovery. So then we go down through the years here. I just want to put, well, Milt Caniff. Milt Caniff with Terry and the Pirates in '34. He also did Dickie Dare, the Gay 30s, and the '46 Steve Canyon, which was just like very similar to Rip Kirby as far as the kind of hard-boiled crime detective kind of series. And so here's some of Milt Caniff's work. Get a feeling for what his work's like. A lot of action in his work. Similar style to Alex Raymond, maybe a little looser with Milt Caniff. Here's his Steve Canyon strip. So you can see, I would say a little less refined, as it were, than Alex Raymond. A different vibe, but similar subject matter and content. You know, all these guys kind of working in those genres, so to speak. And Terry and the Pirates was a series about some youngsters and their adventures specifically in Asia. So a lot of adventures in Asia. So there we go, Milt Caniff, a real legend. One of my favorites, Mel Graff. Mel Graff, another Ohio-born person, just like Milt, and Noel Sickles, all three of them. Mel Graff, famous for Adventures of Patsy in 1935, and he also picked up Secret Agent X9 in 1940 after Alex Raymond was done with it. So check out Mel Graff's work. Here's Patsy. Check out the background with the shadow on the pine trees and then the light on the fallen log. See that contrast, the deer and the shadow in the snow? Man, I just love this stuff. Mel Graff just makes such a mood with his work. And similar to Knoll Sickles in a way with the scorchy style art. I love his snow scenes here with Mel Graff. It really just, for me, just captures kind of that age of time, as it were. Kind of a lot of kind of cabin backgrounds. There's his Secret Agent X9 you could see right there. And I absolutely love his snow scenes. And it just creates such a mood, you know. I don't know. That's not photorealism, but again, you know, art really, it's an interesting conversation. What kind of turns you guys on more with the art? Is it the photorealistic kind of style, like leading towards the Alex Raymond school, or is it this more expressive stuff, perhaps, of Mel Graff and the earlier work of Noel Sickles? Absolutely love Mel Graff. All right, going down the line now historically, you can see that the 30s were a very important time for the science fiction work, the detective work as well. Superman's created by Joe Shuster in 1938 for Action and turned into DC Comics. 1939, we see the appearance of the Batman, but with Bob Kane, who went to the Cooper Union in New York City to school. Jack Kirby, the legend, briefly attended Pratt Institute before he bailed to just pursue his passion and co-invented Captain America, Thor, and many others. Frank Frazetta, epic covers for the Conan series, for example. He was friends with Al Williamson and Roy Krenkel, and Angelo Torres is such a legend. Torres is such a legend as well. Still alive, Park Slope, Brooklyn, with Eerie and Creepy, and of course Mad Magazine. They're all friends. Williamson, Frazetta, Krenkel, Roy Krenkel here. This could be Frank Frazetta, you know, with the subject matter of the lion and the expertise in how it's drawn as well. So I could show many more of these, but for the sake of brevity and stuff, check out these names on your own. I'm going to go through some of my favorites here just in the end. John Buscema is probably my all-time favorite comic artist. His women are just amazing. Look at the sketches that Buscema creates with his women. They're beautiful. They're just beautiful. I particularly love Savage Sword of Conan. Check out my previous videos on that. I've done several videos on John Buscema. Thanks to you guys. They're very well received in the YouTube community. One of my favorite topics to do is to do these art videos for you. Just want to show you some of these John Buscema sketches. Just doing an image search here on his sketches. Look at his beautiful women, man. Another artist I look at all evening long. And you know what? I've actually, with these books that I've owned and comics and Savage Sword of Conan series, I've gone through and just studied and gone over his stuff. How to draw books the Marvel way, comic books. He created the Silver Surfer in 1968. John Buscema. Oh, sorry, that's a recreation. But that was a darn good recreation of that. The Silver Surfer. Here's Buscema's Silver Surfer. Man, nobody does it better. Not in my opinion. That is, he's the best. And of course, Savage Sword of Conan, you know, of legend. Check it out. If you don't already know the icon, the legend, Big John Buscema, one of the best. He's all over YouTube too with that, how to draw comics the Marvel way. Check it out on YouTube with Stan Lee. It's a classic series. Al Williamson studied with Vern Hogarth, as did Wally Wood briefly, but Al Williamson was a renowned inker, receiving several awards in the industry for his inking. However, check out the kind of Hal Foster classical style that Al Williamson could draw in as well. This guy's drawings are just amazing. I love looking at the sketches of Al Williamson. Just really classic stuff. And go through here and show you guys, you know, practicing just the anatomy and the different positions of a person and different creatures. And what a talent. He inked a lot of John Buscema's work as well. I recently did a video on Williamson inking Buscema's Wolverine. Great stuff. Check it out. Go through my channel and see. It was just a few videos back. But anyhow, Al Williamson, really comprehensive artist as well. Gene Colan was a post-World War II guy who attended the, where did he go to school? The Art Students League, as did many. Roy Krenkel went there as well. Gene Colan from the Bronx. He did Tomb of Dracula, Daredevil. I really like his pencils, as did many. His pencils were published just as is. It was said he paints with a pencil. And look at his Batman. Truly, the tones that he gets. Look at the perspective rising up with the apartment buildings in the background. Just amazing stuff from Gene Colan. Painting with a pencil. Man, if anybody does graphite better than that in this comic book medium, I just don't know who it is. He is the best. Here's this. Got some Daredevil and Captain America there. Gene Colan's Heroes. Really great stuff from Gene Colan. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Do you guys like this stuff? Post your comments below. And lastly, let's check out Wally Wood. He was stationed in post-World War II Japan. He's a Minnesota native, briefly attended the Minneapolis School of Art, I think for one semester. He did a lot. He published in 1969 Canon, which was an overseas weekly for the military, published in Germany, worked on Daredevil, also worked with Joe Orlando. They collaborated on a lot. Wally Wood could draw women. He often drew himself. Check out the lower right in his panels. His work is of a more risque nature. The women are arguably equally as beautiful as John Buscema's women. However, they are often scantily clad or not clad at all. And actually, here's a screenshot in Google image search of my YouTube video reviewing one of the books. Actually, I think I was reviewing Canon by Wally Wood, but comprehensive artist, great artist, and he did much more as well. He could draw anything in any style. Have you guys enjoyed this video? I'm going to sign it off here to make sure that hopefully this didn't cut off. But please post your comments below about your favorite classic comic illustrators. Be interested in hearing your thoughts about this video, about some of the artists that I've pointed out and some of the history involved. You know, one thing that really occurred to me doing this research is how important the 1930s were in so many ways culturally that I hadn't really thought of too much. But the more research that I do, I realize that, man, what a decade to set the stage just for even now, as we're almost coming up to 100 years ahead of that time. But a lot more to dive into there down the rabbit hole of Google Images. And you guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.